Now, when it comes to cooking, people always love a 5-ingredient recipe. Am I right?
Yes.
Right? Nice answer, everybody. All right, I feel like 5-ingredient recipes have such a thing to them. They're easy to shop for, usually pretty quick to whip up, and with a few smart supermarket swaps, they can be really, really flavor-packed, which I absolutely love. So I'm gonna show you how I make my 5-ingredient Tex-Mex soup. Sound good? Yeah. Now, in our house, my mom is obsessed with soup. It's her favorite food group, I think she would call it. That and pie, very different, but those are kind of her favorite things. So anytime I can like figure out a way to get soup on the table quicker and easier, always a good thing in my books. So we're gonna do a 5-ingredient Tex-Mex soup. It's gonna have all the flavors we're looking for, but again, only using 5-ish ingredients. You can extend it if you want to, but we're gonna stick to 5-ish today. So here are the 5 ingredients. We've got chicken broth, just store-bought chicken broth, chicken breasts, boneless and skinless. You could do chicken thighs if you wanted to, but I actually like chicken breasts in soup. I've got Tex-Mex seasoning, so there's a lot of spice and a lot of work going on in there that I just get to use and open a jar for. I've also got a jar of salsa. Now I'm using corn and bean salsa because that's gonna add a little more texture and flavor. So that's those 4 ingredients. The 5th ingredient is something green. And now you could do one or the other, both if you're feeling it. I've got some green onions and cilantro. Honestly, whatever kind of green herby thing you have hanging around will be absolutely perfect. All right, now to get to work on this soup, this is kind of like a classic chicken soup. And this is something I do anytime I'm making any sort of homemade chicken soup. So I want to actually cook the chicken in the broth that I'm going to be serving it in. That's gonna infuse more flavor and almost kind of be a little bit of a hack, giving this store-bought broth a little bit of a homemade flavor. So I need about 4 cups or one of those kind of Tetra packs of low sodium chicken broth. I always buy low sodium chicken broth because then I can control how much salt goes in it. Really, it doesn't taste much different. It just leaves you less reaching for that glass of water in the middle of the night. You know what I'm talking about? Is that just me? I was like, it's like anytime I eat sushi, I wake up and it's like 1 in the morning and I'm like, I gotta drink 8 cups of water. All right, there goes that broth right on into my pot. And I actually don't have this overheat yet. I don't want it hot yet because I'm actually gonna slowly bring the chicken up in that broth. That's gonna ensure that my chicken cooks nice and evenly. It's not gonna overcook, but it's gonna get like a nice doneness all the way through, kind of almost like when you're cooking a potato. This is a really good way to poach your chicken and get it good to go. So I'm gonna add those chicken breasts right on into the stock. Right now, this is not cute looking. It's just chicken floating in broth. But this is gonna give you extra meaty flavor into that store-bought broth. So you're not throwing anything away, you're not wasting anything there, so that's gonna be beautiful. Now, into there, we're gonna add in that Tex-Mex seasoning. This is a great way to add really any sort of flavor you're thinking of. Anytime I can buy a pre-made spice blend where someone else has done the work, someone else went through their own pantry and got all those spices together and mixed them up, that's a good thing. So I'm gonna add in about 2 teaspoons of that right on into this mix, and that's gonna start infusing all that like cumin, that chili powder, that smoked paprika, all that deliciousness right on into this pot. So what you wanna do now is you wanna bring that up to a boil over high heat. Once that comes to a boil, you wanna pop a lid on to cover, turn the heat down to low just to let it simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes, just until that chicken is cooked through. That's gonna slowly poach that chicken, get you beautiful cooked chicken. So once it's done, looks a little something like this. We've got cooked chicken and some broth, looking delish. Now, what you wanna do, even though we've cooked this in a like moist cooking method, because we've cooked it and poached it in that broth, it still can have the tendency to be a little bit dry if you don't let your chicken rest. You know how you take a roast out of the oven, you set it aside to rest to let it do its thing? You wanna still do that even if you're doing something like a braise or a poach, because it's gonna give a chance for all of those chicken juices just to redistribute in that chicken. So we're just gonna remove that from that beautiful broth that's got that Tex-Mex seasoning in it, and just set that aside for a little bit just to rest and redistribute. Now, to add in a bit more flavor, you can give it a taste, but I already know I'm gonna want more flavor. I'm going in with another about teaspoon of that beautiful Tex-Mex seasoning, maybe a bit more. And then we're gonna add in our very secret ingredient, and that is salsa. Honestly, salsa is one of my favorite things to use, even if I'm making like a quick chili. Chuck a jar of salsa in it, tastes like you cooked it for years. It's great, it's fantastic. In a good way, in a good way. We'll say hours, I don't know why I said years. I don't know, that's not a special recipe I have. I've got about just a good jar of salsa here. I like the corn and bean one because it adds a little more protein, a little more pop. There's tons of stuff going on here. We got onions, we've got peppers, there's tomatoes, there's more spices and herbs. We've got all of that deliciousness. It also gives nice body into this soup as well. So give that a nice stir together. That's gonna thicken everything up. Give it a little bit more of a stewy consistency. And you see, like the color immediately changes into a beautiful, rich tomatoey broth. So we are good to go on that front. I wanna bring that up to a simmer. While that starts to come up, I wanna start shredding my chicken. So I've got that chicken over here. My favorite tools for shredding, I know you can buy things on the internet that look like bear claws, but I just use 2 forks. Easy peasy. All you need to do is just grab that chicken and just shred it apart into nice, beautiful chunks. It's still beautiful and juicy. There's nice flavor in there. This is gonna add so much body. Feel free to shred it as thinly or small as you want. I like big chunks of chicken though in my soup. Now we have brought that beautiful broth that we've simmered that chicken in. We've got that Tex-Mex seasoning. It kind of just smells like nachos and I'm not mad about it. And then I also added in a good jar of my favorite salsa. Mine that I love that we always have on hand has corn and beans in it, but really if you have any type of salsa, feel free to use that. Even like a green salsa would be really nice, brighten things up a little bit, but whatever you've got hanging around, chuck it in there and you are good to go. So I'm gonna re-add this chicken into that pot just to heat through. Now before I shredded the chicken, I did give it a chance to rest just to let the juices redistribute because you wanna make sure even though this chicken is going into like a liquidy soup, that it stays juicy too. You don't want dry chicken in your soup. Sounds kind of counterintuitive, like it wouldn't happen, but it can happen, trust me. So add that chicken right on in. And this is the thing I love about this recipe. We just used basically one of those Tetra Packs of broth, a jar of salsa, and 2 chicken breasts, and you've got enough for like 4 good servings of soup. So really economical, super tasty, and delicious. All right, I'm gonna let that chicken heat through and do its thing, but now we're gonna talk about the 5th ingredient. I'm wondering if I'm gonna fudge the numbers a little and call the ingredient greens, or if we're actually gonna call it one or the other. Should we do cilantro or green onions or both, audience? What do we think? This is why I love these people right here. You guys are excellent. I like your attitude. Nicely done. All right, so we're gonna call it greens, but honestly, any sort of green thing you like with your nachos, with your tacos, feel free to put that on there. I'm going in with some green onions, just some thinly sliced green onions on top, and then some cilantro. I love cilantro. If you don't like it, honestly, feel free to leave it out. But even if you had some lime here, that would be really nice to squeeze on top, brighten things up a little bit. But I'm keeping mine with just these 2 greens because that's what I got hanging around. That's the thing, with 5 ingredient recipes, yes, you buy your 5 basic ingredients, but if you have anything hanging around in your crisper or your fridge, feel free to use those as well just to use them up. All right. Now I'm gonna go grab that soup that has come back up to a beautiful simmer. If you want at this point, this is where you can adjust the seasoning, add in some more pepper, some more of that Tex-Mex seasoning, some salt. But I'm gonna grab this and bring it right on over here and just serve this soup right on up. You've got all that chicken. You've got that beautiful bean and corn salsa that gives so much body and deliciousness. There's the tomatoes. There's everything you're looking for. That nice hot bowl of soup coming in from a winter storm. Maybe your husband just shoveled all the stuff. You make him a bowl of soup, he's a happy camper, we're feeling good. Speaking from experience, I'm not gonna lie. I used to like shoveling, I don't shovel anymore. I feel bad, but it's okay. All right, now top that off with those green onions, little bit of that cilantro, and if you want, again, to fudge that 5 ingredient number a little bit of sour cream never hurt anybody. Just to add a little bit of creaminess right on top, even some Tex-Mex cheese if you had it, that would be absolutely beautiful. That's gonna bring creamy dreaminess into this bowl of soup. I'm gonna give this a taste because I can't say no. Let's give it a go. Okay, 1 second. Let's see how we go. Oh my gosh, so much flavor, so little ingredients. Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the good stuff.